Continuing with complex numbers and what you can do with complex numbers, we're going to get into solving equations and multiplying complex numbers. A review from the previous section is a problem like this. Again, my recommendation is to go ahead and write this out by distributing the negative sign first and then combine the like terms. Now, once you do that, you have it in standard form because the form is a plus bi. And so the real part is first and the imaginary part is second. You also can multiply complex numbers. So multiplying complex numbers, you can do the numbers first, the real numbers, and then the I times I is I squared. Now you may remember that I squared is equal to a negative 1, so this is equal to 30. Why is I squared equal to negative 1? Because it's the square root of negative 1 times the square root of negative 1, and that is going to equal 1. Distributing the I through gets you this, which means I squared, again, is negative 1. 8i plus 1, 1 plus 8i, again, putting it in the form a plus bi. When you have two complex numbers that you're multiplying, you have to do the four multiplications. So 15 plus 5i minus 3i minus I squared. So I did distributive property twice, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So when you get this, you combine like terms. So it's 15 plus 2i minus negative 1 is plus 1, and then 16 plus 2i, and you're done. The other type of a problem that you can have is solving equations by subtracting 4 on both sides and taking the square root, remembering the plus or minus. You solve it the same way, except you just have to simplify that. So x is equal to plus or minus, and this is 4 comes out as a 2, square root of negative 1 is I. Similarly, let's see, adding 11 to both sides gives you a negative 36. X squared equals negative 18 divided by 2. Again, taking the square root of both sides. X equals plus or minus, and this ends up to be, let's see, this is 9 times 2 and a negative 1 in there, so 9 comes out as a 3, negative 1 comes out as an I, and you're left with 2 on the inside. Last problem is finding the zeros of this function. Same idea, 0, f of x equals 0, 4x squared plus 20. To make this easier, I can just divide by 4 on both sides. So that's x squared plus 5. All right, that means that your x squared equals negative 5, and you can take the square root of both sides, remembering plus or minus. So that means that your x equals plus or minus I times the square root of 5. You can't do anything with that square root of 5. Okay, that's doing more with complex numbers, including solving for the zeros of a function even though you have a negative under the radical sign.